today I want to keep it a little bit more conversational and just talk about how do we make guitar fun, right? I get this question all the time. I'm plateauing in my playing. I'm not as inspired as I used to be, and I'm not having fun like I used to when I first started playing. So what do we do about that? For me, I boil it down to three things. The things that keep me going are, first, I'm listening to my heroes, right? Two, pedals can be a huge, fun way to get you going again on guitar. It shouldn't be a crutch, and we'll get into that later, but pedals can be a huge asset. And then three, just jamming, just getting on your guitar and feeling comfortable, playing something unique every time. That can be a huge excitement to your playing and can get you going again. So I want to get into those three things. So the first thing I want to get into is having a steady diet of your heroes' music, right? So any one of your heroes, think of any of them, they at one point were a kid in their bedroom playing guitar, listening to their heroes, right? And they didn't get to where they are now without doing that first step. So, if you find yourself in a slump, you don't know what to play, the first thing you have to do is consume music, right? You can't produce anything good or stay excited about something with no fuel. It's just a basic principle of human biology, right? In order to create something, we have to consume something first, right? In order to produce something, we have to consume something. So, for me, anytime I hear a George Benson song, that inspires a week's worth of guitar study and guitar challenge for me. I was going to get coffee this morning, and I listened to Soulful Strut by George Benson, and he played a lick in there that I think I said out loud. I was walking on the street, and I was like, I have got to go home and learn that. So it's just so important that you keep a steady diet of listening to your heroes. It will, inspire you out of slumps, and it will keep you excited about guitar. All right, secondly, I want to get into pedals, right? Every guitar player loves pedals. The saying is that every guitar has songs in it, right? They inspire different songs, so the saying goes. And I think pedals are the same way. Anytime I find a cool pedal, I find myself writing a part to that, or it inspires different chords or a different progression that might not have come out if it weren't for that pedal. For me, I've got a couple of my favorite ones worth noting. This is the Boss FT2. I get a lot of questions about this guy. This is an envelope filter that kind of gets an automatic womp, womp, womp sound, right? So depending on how hard you pick, it'll give you a deeper cue of a womp, right? So if you're kind of picking, it'll kind of be like a softer kind of thing, and the more you dig into it, it reacts to your playing. So this thing is super fun, and this has inspired, oh my gosh, so many different songs for me. Another couple that are worth noting is the Boss DC2. This thing is probably my favorite chorus pedal. Both of these guys are 80s era, and I never checked these. I always put these in my carry-on, right? So these never leave my side. And then lastly, this guy is one of my favorites as well, the JHS Pulp and Peel. This, if you've not experimented with compression pedals at all, I would encourage you to do it. I didn't really understand why I needed one or wanted one until I got one. And this was one of the first that I got. And this pedal is just so great. It works so easily. And essentially, if you don't understand what it does, it kind of just tightens up the sound quite a bit, either really subtly or really extremely. And it can add essentially just a bunch of punch to your guitar and make it sound really tight and clean. So, again, pedals should not be used as a crutch. We've all heard that. You don't need to be practicing with pedals on, right? If you're having isolated practice time, that needs to be very diligently spent with the guitar unplugged, and make sure that your hands and your technique is proper, right? And because if you're playing with this stuff, you can get excited about the tone, and you can get used to playing sloppily, right? So you should never use these guys as a cover-up for messy playing. Make sure that your playing is tight on its own, and then once you're at that point, then that's where pedals can come in and do the job of inspiring you out of slumps and out of times where you have writer's block or playing block. And I can't say it enough, pedals are a huge potential spark for your playing, and would definitely encourage you to find a few that you love. And don't get too many though, because guitar players are notorious for getting way too many and not knowing what they do. Just get a few. I've got 3 right here that I'll never leave my side. Learn how they work and keep at your side. All right, the last thing I want to hit on today is going to be jamming. the most important thing you can do for your playing and your musicianship is get time just playing the guitar. Honestly, there should be times when you sit down and you practice things that you don't know. But to implement these things that you've been learning in this course and later on in your guitar playing, you need to have times where you're jamming with musicians, and even in your bedroom is fine, but with other musicians and trying these things out and getting them in the real world. Playing with a band also is a huge asset to your playing because it forces you to communicate in a more meaningful way. When you're the only person in a conversation in your bedroom and you're the only guitar player, you're playing along, or say you're playing to a track, you have control over that situation and you can add however much you want and people aren't gonna have their 2 cents about it. But when you're playing with a band, you're playing with other musicians, it forces you to communicate more meaningfully, and it kind of limits your contribution to the conversation, which is a good thing, I think. So jamming with other guys, jamming in your bedroom, huge benefit to your playing. It's going to force you to, implement those things you've been learning, like I said. And also you're going to stumble onto new ideas just out of just getting your hands on the guitar. I can't tell you how many times I've picked up the guitar and I've, been so glad that I did, because 15, 20 minutes later, after I've gotten through all that rust, something comes out and I'm like, that's cool. And then I play for another hour and a half, right? So I can't stress it enough. Make sure you're jamming.